I want to personally welcome you to the Accountability Coaching Program. Our goal here is to support you with what you need to get started fast and never look back. Hit the ground running, get the rubber meet the road, and go. Okay? Not going to lie, the success rate for not only this program, but say any entrepreneur program, it's like less than 10 to 15%. So it's really going to be up to you to follow through on your goals. First of all, you got your partners to be accountable to. You guys, I recommend talking on the phone once a week, at least. Getting to know one another, open up a little bit, let them share where you're at in life. So it's more than a surfacey conversation kind of relationship, because this can get grueling. It can get frustrating. Is anybody excited?
Yes, I'm excited.
That's going to wear off. It happens. And then it'll come back, and then it'll wear off, and it'll come back. It's going to wear off when you hit your first roadblock. If you're not sure what to do, then it's going to become frustration and things like not sure and uncertainty. And it's going to be really, really important to remember your why you're doing this. Your why is going to pull you through everything. It's going to have you figure out problems, come up with solutions, creative solutions, and it's going to keep you moving. It really will. And my goal is to support you along the way with tools to clean yourself up and get back in the game. So let's go ahead and do this. You guys have heard about thinking outside the box, and all that really means is be creative. Because when you're stuck in this box right here, which consists of, this is huge, your assumptions. You can challenge your underlying assumptions about the way you see something. There's gold. I promise you. It's like, if you can, where am I assuming something is a fact where it's not a fact? I'm just like, you can challenge these, you're going to find a lot of gold. Okay, these are like rocks to turn over. Your assumptions, your patterns, your opinions or point of view, and your beliefs. Basically, the box is the representation of your past, because you picked up all this stuff in the past. In order to get outside the box, you're going to need to be creative. Does anybody here have a challenge being creative? And you don't necessarily have to raise your hand. It's just kind of a question. I was speaking earlier about the employee mentality, and if you're operating from always needing approval and permission to do stuff, especially permission and approval to be creative, it's going to kind of stop you, and you're going to be like, is this the right thing to do or the wrong thing? This is how you get out of the box being creative. And I'm going to give you guys some tools on how to get outside and be creative. Want to go over this really quick? What do you guys know accountability to be? There's no wrong answers. I just want to kind of hear how you guys have it. What is accountability? How about Zaire? I see you going for it.
I was. How y'all doing? Accountability is basically when you stand behind what you do and you own up to whatever it is that you're doing. Also, accountability has to do with, in this case, believing in yourself. You're accountable for your actions, and so you have to be, I'm not going to say 100% sure, but you at least have to have the confidence to move forward in whatever it is you're doing. That's accountability too.
Awesome. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
I would say being responsible, really taking the initiative to put your best foot forward, to not only believe in yourself, as Zara said, but, setting your goals and following what path you have. Actually having a strategic path and actually sticking to it through thick or thin.
That's awesome. Do we write goals down and sometimes not hit them?
Yes, we do.
Why do you think that is?
Sometimes life hits you with different obstacles that we didn't prepare for.
Absolutely. So, life gets in the way, right?
You really have to just make the adjustments and keep moving forward.
I love that you said that. I'm going to be sharing some tools that are going to help you make those adjustments, because they're not always the easiest to see. But once you kind of see this stuff, it's really not complicated. All right. So I really appreciate you kind of seeding that for me. What about Emily?
I mean, what they said sounded pretty spot on, just showing up and following through.
Okay. So in our legal system, accountability is associated with guilt, is it not? Holding someone accountable.
Yeah.
So we're not doing guilt. There's no beat up here. There's no judgment from me on whether you follow through on your goal or not. I'm not going to say whether you're serious about this or not. If you're not showing up for the calls, you show up, you're going to get value. You follow through. I can't make you do this program. It's up to you. The only thing I can do is support you along the way to start recognizing some stuff. Now, the aspect of accountability I'm going to work with you on is a little different than everything that you guys said. It's actually made up of two words if you look at it.
Count and ability.
Now, specifically, that's your ability to account for how you got to where you're at, which is off course from your goals. How to count up your choices that led you to where you're at. Not why you got there, but how. And I'll give you an example of a distinction there. If you're on a road trip and you end up way off course, and let's say your co-pilot is your significant other, you end up in a place you've never been before or off course, and you turn to your significant other and say, why did we get here? You're looking for a reason to blame, pretty much. Why did we get here? Who's reading the map? As opposed to how did we get here? What were the steps we took that got here? And it's a little different than responsibility. Responsibility is more based in the present. Accountability is more based in counting up your choices from the past that led you to where you're at. An accountant that checks your receipts, they're counting up all the stuff from the past that leads you to basically where you're at right now, right? What happens if you start leaving out some of the receipts, some of the choices, the story that you tell about how you got there? It doesn't add up, right? So it's about being 100% accountable for how you got to where you're at, whether you hit your goal or didn't hit your goal. And it's all for celebration. There's no beat up or judgment on ourselves about it. It's all about celebrating. Got it? Oh my God, I found a reason why I didn't follow through. That's awesome. Now I can change the pattern. So the other word up here that says attitude. You're going to be right and you're going to be wrong sometimes. Your attitude needs to stay the same, whether you're right or you're wrong. As far as like an airplane goes, are there any people that are like flyers or anything like that here? Or familiar with airplanes?
I did before.
What's the attitude for a plane?
The attitude is the not altitude.
Attitude, yeah, attitude.
Yeah, just banking left or right.
It's how level the plane is to the horizon, or its relation to the horizon, is it not?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Sorry, it's been a long time.
No, it's fine, because what happens is, and I appreciate you kind of jumping in there. People, what they do is sometimes when they're wrong, their attitude flips over and they end up way off course. So it's about keeping a level-headed attitude no matter what happens. That's your approach. Like even when a plane lands, if the approach is off, you're going to crash and burn. So your job is to keep that level-headed attitude regardless of what happens. Coming back to accountability, why is it important to be 100% accountable for where you end up?
You can't blame anybody but yourself, whether you fail or succeed. It's all on you.
What is that called when you blame somebody else?
What is it? Not excuses, but
the victim mindset.
Pretty much it.
You can't be a victim if you're being 100% accountable. Isn't that accurate? Yeah. That's wwhy when you're telling a story about what happened, there's two ways you can tell the story. You can be 100% accountable, or you can be a victim. You can't really do both at the same time. When you end up being a victim, basically you're omitting details from the story. You ever notice that? Like, why'd you show up late? Well, the light turned red. I got stuck at the train tracks or something like that. Not that I waited till the last possible minute to leave the house. I was sitting on the couch watching TV and I got time. So it's like you can't be both. So there's way more. There's no power in being a victim, all the powers of being accountable, especially when you deliver your information, your story, and with your clients too. I mean, it's like super huge. I'm not telling you to admit fault with them, or like, sometimes people just need to hear an apology when you screw up. I screwed up. I'm not perfect by any means. I'll take care of it though. Got it. Here's what I'm going to do moving forward for you. Really reassurance to the relationship. Apologize, not to admit fault, but to kind of smooth it over. You're not going to be perfect in every situation, especially just starting out. Trust me, I've been through a lot of it. And, you just got to do your best at all times.